record offline.
Hey. All right, it is your Classic Metal Show, and I am here drinking and partying with the one, the only, Chip Znuff from Enough's Enough. Chip, how are you, my brother?
Very good, Chris. It's great to see your face. It's been such a long time. You've always been a real, true supporter of Enough's Enough, along with Howard Stern, and it goes a long way in my eyes. You're very loyal, and I thank you for all the years of following our band and letting people know what we're doing. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to the band as well.
Well, sure, dude. Now, the last time I saw you, and I don't know if you remember, but was when you were through here with Adler, and you were in the middle of the Adler thing, and you were also doing missing persons or something at the same time. You were very busy then. You're very busy now, man. When do you find time to unwind?
Well, I found a few minutes here to hang out with my lady friend here in Cleveland, so I there's little moments of clarity, serendipity, if you want to call it that.
Right.
But coming through with Adler was always an experience because basically I was in a cover band. It was Steven and I were playing nothing but Appetite for Destruction, one of the biggest selling records of all time. It was quite an honor for me and a challenge at the same time because those jagoffs wrote those songs when they were 20, 21, 22 years old. They're kids full of piss and vinegar. And here we are, double that age, if not more, and we're trying to recapture those moments. So it was very fulfilling because I know I kicked ass every single night on that band.
Oh, yeah.
And played and sang well, and that was the most important thing. And it kept people that didn't know about what Enough's Enough was doing, kept them informed, and that was the most important thing for me.
Sure.
Let everybody know still alive out there playing, and then missing persons too. It makes me sound like a musical slut, but how about the challenge of trying to play all them kinds of bands as music? Missing persons, very complicated. Guns N' Roses. You got to rock. You got to be able to be a rock player to play that stuff, and that's what I am.
Right.
So coming through and playing those tours was very good for me because, as I said before, a lot of people got a chance to see what we were doing, and they can talk to me, and I want to get out and play as much as possible.
Sure.
When I'm home, I can't wait to get on tour when I'm home.
Right.
And then as soon as I get on tour, I miss home.
Right. And the thing probably with doing so many different bands and so many different styles, it makes you a better performer just because you have to be able to change on a dime. I mean, let's face it, as a bass player, there is a different style of playing from being a rock guy to being a metal guy to being a pop guy. It's a total different style. It's a total different vibe.
I like to believe that I could do them all. It doesn't matter what kind of band it is. Accept the challenge, and if I'm needed and it's a good gig, I'll go out there and play. And it's good for me to keep my chops up, as you said.
Sure.
Playing all the time, and it's second nature now. It's almost too easy.
Exactly, dude. Well, dude, you're out here last night of this 80s invasion tour with Enough's Enough and Bang Tango and Ted Poley, man. It is amazing to me that bands that, let's face it, were not the Motley Crues of the world that had 30 number one hits, but you guys can get out here and you can tour, and people come to the clubs, and they come and they relive the magic of maybe not the biggest bands in the world, but the most fun that everybody had. It's not about necessarily having 13 hits, at least in my eyes. It's about 2 or 3 songs that I know, but a style that just makes us all remember what is no longer here, don't you think?
Absolutely. I've had a couple hits, by the way, not to contradict you at all. And for any band out there that's reading this or hearing this, having one hit, be grateful for that, okay? Just one hit in this day and age. So if you have a band like Bang Tango or Ted Poley or Enough's Enough that's had a couple of singles and that had some exposure in MTV or, for that matter, VH1, be grateful for that. And these people wait their whole lives to see the band play. Years and years and years, because the only time they've heard the bands or seen them was either on MTV or VH1 or on the radio.
Right.
And let's face it, nowadays, the playlist, the way radio is right now, unless you're listening to Sirius, you're not going to get a lot of bands that were big back in the late 80s or early 90s played now. But some of that music is timeless, I think, and that's why people still come out. And now I'm seeing a lot of families bringing their daughters and sons to the shows, and that's quite gratifying right there. They're passing it down to generations, just like my father did for me.
Sure.
When I was a little kid listening to his Black Sabbath records and B.B. King and Albert King and Muddy Waters, and he had such a eclectic collection of material, old Queen and Black Sabbath, just great stuff that resonated with me. Bowie, I would never heard of any of those bands, Janis Joplin, anybody, Doors.
Right.
It wasn't for my dad turning me on to all those groups, and it seems the families right now are passing it on. So I'm grateful there's any audience out there right now. It's a good night here in Cleveland. A couple hundred people piled in this little club here. And it'll be a good show. We'll mix it up and play material from early in our catalog, because those are the records that were most well known.
Sure.
But we'll mix it up with some of the later material, and it should be a real good rock and roll set. Band's on fire right now. Just the 25th show in 26 days. It should be good, like a little indoor mini Woodstock without the mud.
Sure. Now, Chip, I've asked you this before, but I'm going to ask you again just because new audience, new people to hear it. As you know, I am as big an Enough's Znuff fan as there is, but to be honest, not as much of a fan as the first two records that everybody knows. You know, I mean, the debut and Strength. Good records, definitely have some good songs, but as I've told you in the past, stuff like Tweaked or Seven or Paraphernalia or even Blue Island, all of those albums had what I would consider better songwriting and better songs and just didn't have the push to get it. You know, for you as an artist, man, do you look back now that the dust has settled on your career more, not settled, but past those records, do you look at it and go, God damn, man, how did these not hit? And then such, I'll say average, you don't have to, but such average stuff that was out at the same time did get play, man. Do you look at that and be like, what the fuck?
No, not really. I'm grateful that we had a chance to put those records out. And people can go get them. They're all over the internet. You can get them at record stores. You don't see our stuff in the used bins too much because people that buy enough snuff music pretty much keep our records.
Right.
So, to be honest with you, I never think of it that way at all. I think of it as just being grateful for the opportunities I've had.
Sure.
I play on the biggest shows in the world, opening for the biggest bands. Mm-hmm. Very grateful for everything we've had, and everything comes around full circle. I started playing in clubs like I'm playing tonight.
Right.
Now here I am, 25 years later.
Sure.
And I'm doing the same thing again, and I'm more prepared for it now.
Absolutely.
That's for sure. But our legacy stands as it is.
Sure.
Got 19 albums out. It says a lot, bro.
Absolutely.
There's really no need for me to brag about anything. If you want to hear what I do, just get the records.
Right.
ZNUFF.com, and you can see everything I've done. You know, it's all the stuff's on YouTube. Google my name.
Yeah.
You know, people know what I've done, and I'm grateful for that.
Sure. Are there more coming, or are you pretty good at this point, or where are you at?
Not satisfied whatsoever. Are you kidding me? I got my own recording studio, and I'm making records. If I'm not doing my own stuff, I'm helping other bands out. The future of rock and roll. Groups that come in there and that want my expertise and want my knowledge. They come in there and they record their songs at my studio, and probably produced 35 records in the last 3 years.
Right.
It's a lot of music.
Sure.
A lot of bands out there, and they're out there hustling right now, playing and hitting the streets, doing the same thing we're doing. Grateful for that. I want to keep it going.
Right.
I want to keep this style of music out there. I think it's real important. And we started listening to the Beatles and Queen and Cheap Trick and all those bands, and it's up to us to carry on and be respectful to our art. And most important thing is the songs and the music.
Right.
Everything else is second nature.
Sure.
Look, I come here and I gear up for a show and play for an hour and a half a night.
Right.
And then I got to find the next 22 and a half hours what I'm going to do with my life.
Right.
And I'm back of that tour bus, contemplating everything. I think I have great ideas that once I put pen to paper and we go to tape and start recording them, there'll be more music. But everything takes time.
Right. Sure.
And for us, it's got to be done right. I'm not going to put any records out that I don't think are far superior to what's out there.
Right. Do you think that today's guys respect the art the way that you're not only yourself, but that generation, the 80s and 90s generation, respected the music? Because I mean, and I'll make an exact example. When you look at almost any of the bands that, from yourself up through your Motley Crue's and Poison, and pick a band, it doesn't matter who, all of them did covers that respected their heritage. Whether it was doing 70s tunes or the Beatles or whatever, yourself included, everybody respected it. You don't see that today, man. You just see bands going out there and just doing, I don't know, manufactured pop without a respect for your era, in my eyes. Do you see that, or do you see that the new generation is respecting the past?
I think the bands that have came out when I was out have sold more records than those new bands. I think it's real. I think it's much tougher for the new bands. Everybody says the internet is going to open doors up for all of us, but I think that the old-fashioned way of a band getting together, playing the songs, taking it to the street, reaching the people, that's how bands make it. And there'll be another Guns N' Roses. Every 20 years there's another band that comes out, and the whole styles change. Right now it's a potpourri, and there's some good talented guys out there, don't get me wrong, but those real great bands that we all know and love, there's not a lot of them out there right now, but that doesn't mean they're not going to come back.
Right.
They'll be out there, and there's, like I said, a cesspool of wonderful musicians that are just caught in this shitty fucking business.
Exactly.
You're going to find guys that are coming out there, and once they get together and find their way, you'll see some real good stuff coming out in the future. I guarantee it. Right now, it's a real cookie cutter, milk and cookies, American Idol, and stuff. And all them TV shows that they have right now. And that waters it down a little bit, I think, because people look at that as the barometer of how to make it. Got to get on one of these kind of shows, The Voice or American Idol. But I think if you just put a band together and go out and take it to the streets, if you got good enough stuff and the band's strong and you can stay away from drugs, there's going to be a record company guy out there looking for the next big thing, and he'll help you out. You need the machine, though. You still need the machine to help sell the band. You can't just do it on your own. You can only take it so far.
Right, definitely. And last thing, dude, plug the stuff. Let people know where they can find you, where they can find Enough's Znuff, where they can find everything that's going on.
You can look at enoughznuff.com, ENUFFZNUFF.com, or anything. Just Google us. You'll be able to get all of our stuff. It's on all the networks around the country, from Amazon to to iTunes. You can find anything Enough's Znuff related. And there's a bunch of different stuff that we've done. Donnie's got his solo record out, Wrapped Around My Middle Finger. I have my other band, Johnny Rotten Jr. All that stuff is available on iTunes. And thanks for all your years of support and love. I can't thank you enough.
Awesome, bro. Well, that'll do it for now. It's Chris Aiken with Chip Znuff, and we'll leave it there. All right, brother. Thanks, man.
Thank you very much. I'm getting ready to go on stage. There's a lot of trim here, and I'm going to go do what I do best.
All right, and with that, we're out, man. Peace.
Okay. I'm right on the phone nowadays, huh? I remember in the old days they'd come in Rolling Stone.